Hi, my name's Scott Langston, and this short video is a response to questions I had from a new client. And I thought that it would be something that would be helpful to maybe put up on the website and people could access for themselves. So it came down to what is OCD? What is this diagnosis I have, and what does it actually mean? So this is a very simple explanation of what we understand by OCD. So OCD stands for obsessive compulsive disorder. It's a condition where bad thoughts, distressing thoughts, or obsessions lead to behaviors which become repetitive, so compulsions that temporarily make our anxiety go away. But over time, they make the problem itself worse. So obsessions are thoughts that you don't want to have, unwanted thoughts, images, or unwanted urges that create anxiety. So they're not like everyday worries. They tend to be irrational and or excessive. And compulsions are the behaviors that you enter into to get rid of those obsessions and to lower your anxiety. They tend to be repetitive, and they tend to be out of proportion to the situation in hand. So there are 6 broad groups of OCD concerns. The first would be to do with contamination and health. This typically involves a fear of germs, the sort of stereotypical hand washing, fear of getting ill, general fear of dirtiness, a fear of chemicals, additives in foods, can lead to sort of obsessive checking of labels, etc. Moral and religious purity is another area. Doesn't have to be religious, it can just be moral. It can be a concern with being 100% responsible, 100% good or devout. Very, very similar to, but different from, perfection and symmetry, which is another area where the need is for things to be perfect, whether that's academically with grades, whether it's to do with physically your look, or how paintings are arranged on a wall, things having to be symmetrical or just right according to a criteria that you have for yourself. So the fourth area would be checking and control. That's a need to go back and check things that you've already checked, or to check things that might prevent some catastrophic event that might not actually be linked to what you're checking. So checking and control is the fourth area. The fifth area would be harm and violence, whether it's unwanted thoughts about doing something harmful or something harmful or violent happening, or subjects that are taboo. Typically within the sphere of sexuality, there's some obsessions around sexual taboos, but taboos about other things also. And then relationships. Some people with OCD express almost completely through their relationship around having intense doubts about whether their relationship is the right one, if it's the perfect one, if they haven't made a mistake about the relationship. So those are the 6 areas: contamination, health, moral and religious purity, symmetry, perfectionism, checking and control, harm and or violence, and relationships. And OCD is a trap. OCD is like a vicious circle that you get into. So you may, for example, have an intrusive thought, and by which I mean a thought that comes on its own, not something that you've sought. So an intrusive thought or a fear, which is the obsession, causing anxiety and doubt. A very, very typical one is checking that you've turned the oven off. Did I leave the oven on? Is the house going to burn down? There's the thought. That then spirals into repeating an action that eases that doubt. So there's a compulsion to check. So you might actually stop what you're doing, turn around, go back home and check that the oven is off. You might check the dials, leave the house, lock the door, unlock the door, go back in, check the dials again. That form of repetitive action or compulsion to temporarily ease the doubt that you have in fact left the oven on. When that obsession recurs, because you've already done the compulsive activity, you are then faced with a stronger urge to do that again. So when the doubt returns, you go back and check the oven again. That's because you're building a neural pathway in your brain for temporary relief. And that temporary relief is like a dopamine hit. You feel, okay, good, I did turn it off, I feel better. And the brain is learning that that compulsive behavior gets the dopamine hit, makes you feel better, so it will do more of the compulsive behavior. You're briefly certain that the oven is turned off and you feel good about yourself until you don't. The intrusive thought comes back, and then the obsessive behavior about the thought comes back because your brain has learned that that's the way to deal with it. Treatments for OCD typically involve some form of exposure therapy. Exposure and response prevention therapy is the gold standard for treating OCD. It helps you face fears that you may be having, but within a restricted environment and with restricting the compulsions that you feel to act out on. Medication, typically SSRIs, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, which are antidepressants, are used to treat OCD. Typically, somewhere around 3/4 of people will benefit from either the medication or the therapy, and the best results are often had when both of those things are happening at the same time, medication with therapy. So there it is, OCD in a nutshell. I hope you found this helpful. Feel free to like and subscribe, and add comments below if you have questions, and if there are other areas that you would like me to present a brief explanation of. Thank you very much.